Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss about the bond parameters. Bond parameters are basically the properties or attributes that we will associate with the covalent bond generally. So if you look at what are the bond parameters that we will be focusing on, one is the bond length, second is the bond angle, third is bond energy or bond enthalpy, and fourth one is bond order. So we look at the definitions of each of them and what are some of the attributes of these bond parameters. But at the beginning itself, what we need to keep in mind is the bond parameters, right, are mostly defined for the covalent bond, not for the ionic bonding. Okay, so ionic bonding also some of these parameters can be attributed, but not all of them. Okay, so if you look at bond length, so what is a bond length? So when we talk about the existence of chemical bond between two atoms, the equilibrium distance, so to say. What is the equilibrium distance? If you look at the nuclei of the two atoms, atom A and atom B, they are forming a chemical bond, imagine. Okay, so the internuclear distance, the distance between the nuclei of atom A and atom B at that equilibrium position where they will be held together, is basically what we call as the bond length. Okay, and we have different approaches to measure the bond length. We have spectroscopic methods, X-ray diffraction method, electron diffraction techniques, and so on. Okay, but remember in the discussion about the covalent radius, right? So we said that covalent radius we can find out the value from the bond length. So the covalent radius values, right, will be derived from where? They will be derived from the bond length. So if you have a bond between two atoms of same element, okay, so you have atom of element A and another atom of element A. So if they are forming a covalent bond, means we will be able to look at what is the bond length, and generally, right, the bond length divided by 2, half of the bond length is what we'll take as the covalent radius. Okay, so this is about the concept of bond length. And if you look at the bond length values, I mean, these are of course experimentally determined values. So you can see that, carbon-carbon single bond, right, what is the length? It is 154 picometer. What about the carbon-carbon double bond? It is 133 picometer. Carbon-carbon triple bond, it is 120. Okay, and what about the carbon-nitrogen single bond? It is 143. If you look at one of the major drawbacks of the Lewis theory is that the Lewis theory could not explain why there are these variations in terms of the bond length. See, carbon nitrogen single bond is happening because of what? Because of the sharing of the electron pair between carbon and nitrogen, and carbon carbon single bond is happening because of sharing of electron pair between carbon and carbon. Okay, so why there is a difference in terms of the bond length, right? This is something that is not being addressed by the Lewis theory. Okay, not only that, if we look at the sharing of one pair of electrons or sharing of two pairs of electrons, which is the case of double bond, sharing of three pairs of electrons, right? So why there is a difference coming in terms of the bond length of a single bond, double bond, and triple bond? This also is not being addressed by the Lewis theory. Basically, the concept of bond length itself is not being explored based on the postulates of the Lewis theory. But what we see here is generally when we have the bond between two atoms, the single bond will be having an higher value. We can see single bond carbon carbon, what is it? 154. The bond length will be more than double bond. We can see here it is what? 133. Will be more than triple bond. So triple bond will be what? Shortest. Single bond will be the longest and triple bond will be the shortest. Okay, so this is what we will be able to see from the comparison of the bond length. Okay, now the other parameters of the covalent bond is the bond angle. So what is this bond angle? How do we define the bond angle? If you look at say consider this water molecule. In water molecule we have the bond pair of electrons or shared pair of electrons, because the shared pair of electrons, right, will be pointing from one atom to another atom. Like here you can see it is pointing from where? Oxygen to hydrogen. Here it is oxygen to hydrogen. So the bond angle is something that we define as the angle between shared pair of electrons around the central atom in a molecule or complex ion. So if you have the shared pair of electrons, because shared pair of electrons will be along the internuclear axis. So you can see this angle is what we call as the bond angle. Okay, and in case of H2O, what is the value? It is 104.5 degrees. So we see that the valence shell electron pair repulsion theory as well as the valence bond theory, both these theories, they will try to explain the concept of the bond angles, but Lewis theory again could not explain the concept of the bond angles. Okay, and bond angles can be experimentally determined just like the bond length, and the method that we will use is spectroscopic methods. So spectroscopic methods, they will help us to identify the location of nuclei of these atoms, and based on that we will be able to find out what is the shape of the molecule as well as the bond angles. Okay, and what is the main idea of this bond angle? It will give us an idea of the distribution of peripheral atoms around the central atom. So if you look at a complex molecular ion, right, how the peripheral atoms, like if you talk about the bond angles in methane, so methane is what? Carbon is bonded to 4 hydrogens. So how the 4 hydrogens are distributed in the space is something that we will be able to know once we get an idea of the bond angle. Okay, and the determination of bond angles will help us to find out the shape of the molecule. Shape of the molecule or the ion we can find out by knowing the bond angles. Okay, and the Lewis theory again could not explain the concept of the bond angles. So Lewis theory, it could not explain the idea of bond length as well as the bond angles concept also. The other parameter of the covalent bond is the bond enthalpy or bond energy. Okay, so what is this bond enthalpy or bond energy? If you look at the bond between any two atoms, let us say we have a bond between A and B. Okay, and when we want to break this bond, because in the introduction video of chemical bonding, right, we have talked about the energy consideration of the chemical bond. So when these two atoms come together at that optimal distance of bond length, right, what do we see? The total energy of the two atoms will be in the lowest possible position. So if you want to break the bond and throw them away, right, means what? We will have to supply energy. Okay, so how much energy we have to supply? It will be depending upon what is the strength of the bond is what we say. Okay, so the bond enthalpy or bond energy is defined as the amount of energy required to break 1 mole of bonds of a particular type between two atoms in gaseous state. So we will be measuring this value when the bonds are broken in the gaseous state. Okay, and hence we will be looking at this value as the molar bond enthalpy, because we are measuring the energy required to break 1 mole of bonds. So always we will give the units as what? Per mole. Okay, and generally the energy requirement will be in terms of kilojoules. So we will be expressing it as what? Kilojoule per mole. Okay, because we are looking at what is the energy required to break 1 mole of bonds. That's why it will be molar bond enthalpy, per mole it will come. Okay, and if you look at some of these values, right, so to break 1 mole of hydrogen bonds in the gaseous state, so what is the energy required for that? It is 435.8 kilojoule per mole. Okay, this much amount of, see, you can see the enthalpy change, right? This is what the enthalpy change is positive, means what? This much amount of energy is required. It is an endothermic. So breaking of the bonds is what? Endothermic. When the bonds are formed, energy will be released. Exothermic. Breaking of the bonds means what? It will be endothermic phenomena. Okay, now similarly we can look at the energy required to break 1 mole of oxygen bonds. Here what are we breaking? We are breaking a double bond. So what is the energy required for that? It is what? 498 kilojoule per mole. Similarly we can find out what is the energy required to break the nitrogen 1 mole of nitrogen triple bond. So what is it? It will be 946 kilojoule per mole. All these values, how do we get them? We will be able to get them from the experimental studies. Okay, so in thermodynamics we will be able to understand that there are some surrogate techniques which will be based upon the concept of Hess law. So we will study something called as Hess law, and using that concept, right, we will be able to find out the enthalpy changes of some unknown reactions. So when we will go there we will discuss about it, but for now what we can keep in mind is that these are the values that we will be able to get from the experimental studies. Similarly, if you come to the hydrogen chlorine. So it is not like we are only looking at the breaking of bonds between two atoms of same element. So if you have 1 mole of hydrogen chlorine bonds, right, when we want to break it, what is the enthalpy change required for that? It is what? 431 kilojoule per mole. Now when we have say in a molecule multiple bonds, so which means in H2O molecule, right, so we have two oxygen hydrogen bonds, and generally what is observed is the energy required to break, so let us just number them for the sake of it. So let us call them as what? This is the first bond, this is second bond. Okay, so you can see when we are breaking one bond, what we'll get? One hydrogen will come out and remaining will be what? OH. For this, what is the bond enthalpy? 502 kilojoule per mole. When you break that second bond, that OH will be broken into what? Hydrogen and oxygen. We'll get completely gaseous atoms. Second bond, what is the energy required for that? It is what? 427 kilojoule per mole. So in these kind of cases, right, when in that molecule we have multiple bonds, like in the case of water we have two oxygen hydrogen bonds. So we will generally talk in terms of the average bond enthalpy. So if we have to give what is the OH bond enthalpy, right, so how do we get it? So we have taken the bond enthalpy for the breaking of the first oxygen hydrogen bond, that is coming as what? 502. Bond enthalpy for the breaking of the second oxygen hydrogen bond, what is it? 427. So if you want to look at what is the oxygen hydrogen bond enthalpy, right, how we can get it? We can take it as the average of these two values. So 502 plus 427 by 2, which will be approximately 464.5. so all these bond enthalpies, right, so how do we get them? We will get these values based upon the experimental studies. Okay, so either we will get it directly from the experimental studies, or we have some alternative approaches that we will learn about when we go to the thermodynamics. Okay, now when we look at some of these values of the bond enthalpies, right, we can see here carbon carbon single bond, what is it? 348. Carbon carbon double bond 614. Carbon carbon triple bond 839. Nitrogen nitrogen single bond, what is it? 163. Nitrogen nitrogen double bond, what is it? 418. Nitrogen nitrogen triple bond, what is it? 946. So what is the conclusion here? Between two atoms, right, the single bond will have a lower enthalpy. Okay, so lower enthalpy means what? So always understand this in terms of the energy consideration. So lower enthalpy means what? It is easy to break the single bond. So like here in this case, both carbon as well as the nitrogen, right, we see that the triple bonds are having the maximum enthalpy, means what? Breaking of the triple bond will be the most difficult. Okay, so the enthalpy is also, right, is something that is not addressed by the Lewis theory. So Lewis theory could not provide explanation as to why different bonds are associated with different enthalpies, because if it is about the sharing of electrons, right, carbon carbon, they are sharing one pair of electrons, nitrogen nitrogen, they are sharing one pair of electrons. Why the carbon carbon single bond is having, like you see carbon carbon single bond, what is the enthalpy? 348. What is the nitrogen nitrogen single bond? 163. Why there is a difference between these two enthalpies? This area is also not being addressed by the Lewis theory. Okay, now the significance of these bond enthalpies is, for any bond, right, when we have a larger value of the bond dissociation enthalpy, so this bond enthalpy can be also called as what? Bond dissociation enthalpy. Why? Because we are measuring it by using the dissociation of the bonds, isn't it? So larger the value of this bond dissociation enthalpy, it means what? We have to supply that much more energy to break the bond, correct? Which means that represents what? The strength of the bond. So it indicates that the bond is actually stronger. So for any bond, right, so as you can see here, triple bond, the bond enthalpy is highest. Carbon carbon single double and triple, right, triple is highest, means what? The strength of the triple bond will be highest. It is very difficult to break a triple bond like that. Okay, so this is about the concept of the bond enthalpy. Now we'll come to the last of the parameters. It is the bond order. Okay, so what is this bond order concept? So whenever we talk about the Lewis theory, right, so we begin with the concept of sharing of electrons. Like in the normal covalent bond, the element A will provide one electron, element B will provide an electron, that will form a shared pair. Okay, and so when they both have one shared pair of electrons, what do we say? This is one covalent bond. So we'll also call it as what? A single bond. Okay, so if instead they are sharing two electrons each, they'll be forming what? Two pairs of electrons. So we'll say it's a double bond. Okay, so when they are instead sharing three electrons each, then there will be how many pairs of electrons shared between these two atoms? There will be three pairs. So we'll say what is it? It's a triple bond. Okay, so generally whenever we have a covalent bond, right, bond order, we consider it as what? The number of bonds between the two atoms in a molecule. So from the Lewis description, what we see is that because the maximum number of bonds is what? 3. That is something that we already discussed in the Lewis theory, which means, the bond order between two atoms, right, will be what? Either it is going to be 1, or it is going to be 2, or it is going to be 3. So this is what the Lewis theory talks about. But later when we look at the quantum model of the atom and application of the quantum model when it comes to chemical bonding, that we will do in the molecular orbital theory. So in molecular orbital theory, what we will see is that the bond order can be fraction also. So because this is something that we will not be explained based on the Lewis theory, because Lewis theory talks about what? Either single covalent bond or a double bond or a triple bond. But as per the molecular orbital theory, right, so BO represents what? Bond order. Okay, so as per the molecular orbital theory, when we go there, we will be able to see that the bond order can be having fractional values also. Okay, but this is about the concept of bond order as per the Lewis description. So it talks about what is the number of bonds between the two atoms. Single bond means it is bond order 1, double bond means what? Bond order 2, triple bond means bond order is what? 3, like that. Okay, now when we have isoelectronic molecules or ions, the thing about the isoelectronic molecules or ions is that the bond order will be same. So which means if you look at F2 means two fluorine atoms are there. Okay, so each fluorine, the number of valence electrons are what? We'll just look at the valence electrons are 7 plus 7. So totally what is it? 14. Look at O2 2 minus, we look at just the valence electrons. Oxygens, each of them will give 6 plus 2 electrons because it is anion, right? So totally what is the count? 14. Okay, and what we see here is in both the cases, look at what is F2 means what? We'll have a fluorine. What is it? There is a single bond, right? So bond order is equal to what? 1. Similarly in O2 2 minus, what will be the bond order? O2 2 minus also the bond order will be equal to what? 1. Okay, so if you look at it, how it is going to be, you'll have, both these oxygens have 1 unit negative charge and they'll have a single bond between them, like that. Okay, similarly if you have N2 CO and NO plus, N2 means just look at the valence electrons. Each nitrogen, the valence electrons are how much? 5. So 5 plus 5 is equal to what? 10 valence electrons. What is carbon monoxide? Carbon is having 4 valence electrons, oxygen 6, so totally 10. NO plus means what? Nitrogen has got 5 and oxygen has got 6, but plus means what? They have lost 1 electron, so remaining will be what? 5 plus 6 minus 1, that is also going to be equal to what? 10. So all these are what? Isoelectronic species. Okay, now the isoelectronic species, right, so what they'll be having? They'll be having same bond order. So in this case what we'll see is in N2, right, what is the bond order? It is 3. In CO also we talked about the CO in the Lewis dot structure discussion. So CO means what? You will have a double bond, and then there will be a coordinate covalent bond from the oxygen to the carbon. So this is what is the CO, where again we will see that there are how many bonds between carbon and oxygen? There are 3 bonds. And same will be the story of NO also. So NO also what we'll be having? We'll be having 3 bonds. So we'll have a nitrogen and oxygen. So there will be a double bond and coordinate covalent bond between the nitrogen and oxygen. Okay, so overall it will be having what? 1 unit positive charge. So bond order in all these cases will be what? 3. So whenever we have isoelectronic molecules or ions, right, all of them they will be having the same bond order. Okay, so this is about the bond order in the case of the isoelectronic molecules or ions. The same concept, right, we will also look at it when we go to the molecular orbital theory, because we will be able to learn about the bond order in a different manner. So we learn about the bond order using a different context, and there in molecular orbital theory also, for simple diatomic molecules or diatomic ions, we can find out the bond order by using the MO theory postulates. Okay, so this is about the concept of bond order. And what we'll see broadly is if you have the bond order value increasing, so for example, single bond to double bond to triple bond, like that, when the bond order is increasing, what happens is the bond enthalpy also will increase. So what happens, the bond enthalpy or bond energy will be what, increasing. So we have seen this, right? A triple bond will have a higher, in fact triple bond will have the highest bond enthalpy, isn't it? Between single bond, double bond and triple bond, we have seen, right, in the case of carbon as well as nitrogen. And when the bond order is increasing, what happens to the bond length? Bond length is going to be what? The bond length is going to be decreasing. So this is also something that we have seen. So triple bond will be what, shortest. So in case of carbon we have did this comparison, right? Single bond, what is the length? Double bond, what is the length? Triple bond will be the shortest. Okay, so as bond order increases, this is something that we can remember in terms of the correlation. What is it? As the bond order increases, bond enthalpy or bond energy will be increasing. What about the bond length? Bond length will be decreasing. Okay, so this will help us in doing some numerical questions or the application based questions when it comes to the comparison or the correlation between the bond order, bond enthalpy and then bond length. Okay, so this is about the parameters of the covalent bond.